Welcome, Capricorn, to your June Moon Magic deep dive forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. June has four key lunations, but right at the end of May, the Sagittarius full moon provides a backdrop of energy through the first half of the new month. I'm going to unpack each of those five lunations, but from a purely Capricornian viewpoint. The moon's very much about nurture, protectiveness, security, sensitivity. It can be to do with our home, where we live and who with, but also our family interactions. And by the end of the video, you'll have a clearer picture from a lunar perspective of what the month holds in store as far as your energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. On the screen is that Sagittarius blue moon, full moon. And the moon for you is in the 12th house, probably one of the most sensitive parts of its entire journey. The moon in Sagittarius can definitely be a truth seeker and speaker, but also have a need for personal space and physical space too. So if you did find yourself as we come into the new month, just wanted to clear out a few things that had built up some clutter, not a complete surprise. But you may also have wanted to just withdraw a little bit because the energy in the sign of Gemini, which can be very bright and vivacious, the sixth house for you is about everyday chores, obligations, and responsibilities. And it may also be that if you have been feeling a little weary recently, that might show up at the very start of June too. So what you're being asked to do is be mindful of your inner world, that very moonlight energy, but particularly because it's in the 12th house, be very honest if you are feeling the demands of other people just a little too much. What can help you a lot, however, on this particular unique full moon is Mars. Mars is in a fantastic part of your chart right through to the 28th and is going to bring some real rewards. But in that link to the position of the moon, in a social context or around a relationship, if you're really not enjoying it, Mars could encourage you to really speak out, even if it's a tender subject you'd rather avoid. Entirely understandable in the moon in the 12th house. Just to say also that Saturn, your ruler in the fourth house, making you more conscious of your emotional needs, but particularly around home and family life, is in a square with the relator Venus at the start of this month. But June can be a fantastic month for all sorts of relationships. But it does suggest if there is a relationship where you tend to do more for the other person, and it could be therefore at work, that just setting your boundary will be important, because if you are feeling really a little bit run down, do be mindful of how you can reset that, realign in some kind of way. That brings us through to the Pisces quarter moon of the 8th Capricorn. Pisces is for you the third house, so that can be about quick exchanges. The moon here in this zodiac sign can be very sensitive, but it is in a square with the sun in the sixth. Third, sixth house quarter moons are classic for trying to be too virtuous, trying to pack too much in, giving yourself a to-do list that's really so long you're never going to chomp your way through it. So very important, particularly on the back of that very sensitive full moon, not to overload yourself by trying to do too much. That's that quarter moon, but look at the position of Venus. If you recall, clashing badly with Saturn at the start of the month, now moving into one of the most divine planetary conjunctions possible in astrology. They did briefly come into contact last year. They're going to do so again on the 9th, but also through week 2. So something very constructive can be building up around your relationships, not least because Mercury, the planet of communication, has moved into your sector of relating on the first day of the month. And although can struggle in the water sign of Cancer, for you personally, I think you're going to gain a lot more from that than not. So that's really encouraging as far as relationship prospects. But I think in terms of that work situation or just trying to do too much domestically, just be aware of not pushing too hard. One of the things that Venus and Jupiter can do, if you want to say no to something, is you can use an enormous amount of personality power, and someone will find it very hard to resist. But then on the 15th, we have the new moon. The new moon, very much a chance for the sun and the moon to work collaboratively. The sixth house is an echo, really, of the energy of Virgo. It's about being very precise and productive. The moon here is certainly urging you to think about your home environment. If you're someone who's very organized at home, you do have a place for every single item. That might not be how you experience this new moon. How you experience it may be to think about, could you do a job that's more personally satisfying? Or could you make some tweaks to what you're eating and drinking? So just a small amount of improvements across 3 or 4 areas can add up to something much more significant. But it's a new moon which is blessed by two semi-sextiles. Mars in the passionate fifth house and also sensual fifth house. But also we have Jupiter, the planet of fortune, linking back to these guys in the semi-sextile as well. If you get on well with people you work with, it really could be a lot of fun at this part of the month. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe you're looking to launch a service where you can lean into people's needs, but use your drive and passion, Mars in that great link to Mercury, to connect to people, and in your enthusiasm, but offer a service which has some real fundamental benefits to them. Just note also that Venus on the 13th of the month moves into the sign of Leo. Venus in Leo can love some luxury, and you may find yourself tempted to splash out on something, and maybe it will be some new tech. Venus in a sextile with Uranus, some kind of labor saving device. Well, is it because you really like the look of it? You also have Venus in a magical link to Neptune, so that could see you want to buy something for your home, which adds some luxury there. But overwhelmingly, a very positive new moon, and particularly if you do want to get a little bit more virtuous about what you eat and drink and the amount of exercise you do. That brings us to the second of the two quarter moons. It's in Libra, and it occurs as soon as we have the summer solstice on the 21st. Now, I appreciate if you're down in the southern hemisphere, it's the winter solstice. Western tropical astrology is based on the seasons, is a Mediterranean construct. That's why we say the summer solstice. And for you personally, it is a chance for you to really think positively about relationships, particularly because Chiron, the so-called wounded healer, has moved into your sector of romance on the 19th of June. It's going to be there for 3 months. If you have got some hang-ups about how attractive and alluring you are, that link to the sun can certainly give you a lot of confidence, because I feel the messages you get back from other people can be overwhelmingly positive from the 21st through to the 28th, with Mars forging a stunning link with Mercury and Jupiter. So if there is someone you like, with Chiron moving into that sector of your chart, it's urging you to have the confidence to step outside what you know. So why is the quarter moon going to be significant? Well, I think it actually could be around work relationships. You may find that however much you try to please a difficult line manager or boss, it may not actually have that much impact. What I'd say to you is don't try too hard. You'll be giving away your power. And the moon, in a way, in Libra can bring wisdom, because it's saying, keep what you do at work in balance. And that brings us to the final lunation of the month, which is in your zodiac sign. It's really intriguing because Mars moved out of your sector of romance on the 28th into the sign of Gemini. It's forging a really lively conjunction with Uranus through the last few days of the month. But what we do have is the moon in your sign reminding you of how important your agency is. Because with this cluster of players in your seventh house, you can get on superbly well. I mean, that's stunning, despite the fact Mercury goes retrograde on the 29th as well. But we can do too much. It's important to set a boundary between what we give and what we get. It doesn't have to be conditional, like you do this, I'll do that. We can relax. Different people bring different things to different relationships. But if you do feel that it is all about what other people expect from you, that moon's asking you to stand up what you need for you rightly. However, just to say your ruler Saturn, which started the month in a bruising right angle with Venus, ends the month in a tremendous trine. If you are trying to do something around renting a new property or buying one or selling one, that's much more positive to bring the cosmic curtain down on the month. And talking of positivity, Jupiter, the planet which governs that, does move into your eighth house on the final day. Over the next 13 months, your long-term financial situation can improve exponentially, but also there is the potential for a very positive but intimate relationship of the right kind. But just to say, Capricorn, that conjunction between Mars and Uranus suggests you could have some kind of brilliant brainwave as the end of June comes, and it may be to do with changing something around your practical structures, or it could be to do with your work. Just going to broadly summarize. So the first half of this month, it's very much about practicality. Well, the first two-thirds, very much about practicalities. But all through that, there is a developing relationship theme. I'm going to summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next, Capricorn. But just to say, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. For many years, it was buy two, get 30% off. Now it's buy one, get three. Why? Because of the cost of living increases. So the one you pay for is your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that are played out in our lives, get a more intimate understanding of those and how to work that energy better future forwards. Free, your 12 months transit, but also your draconic soul karmic analysis, which has on me anyway, a profound impact at looking at ourselves in a different and very karmic way. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your June monthly forecast, that's on the screen. Your Mars in Taurus 6-week forecast on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. I work with people the world over. If you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, you can do that by clicking on the link below. Get your early day celestial pit stop. So let's summarize energy. There's a lot of activity in the sign of Gemini this month. And the positive thing about that is your ideas of how you can manage your energy are enhanced. But as you go into this month, I think your energy could be very delicate with that Sagittarius full moon, particularly if you're being too virtuous for other people. And I think, although we can think about all those players in the sign of Cancer as being relationships, the seventh house is about where we compete. It's also where we set our boundaries. And the most important relationship is with ourselves. So as far as your energy is concerned, you must be protective this month. It's not about how much you do, it's about how effectively what you do, and not overstretching your resources. As far as your professional situation is concerned, I think relationships are something that big business particularly don't pay enough attention to. It's very much on the processes and on the bottom line. But if you have a happy team of very motivated people who support each other, you will always get better results. In my business, we have someone who's been in the business for 30 years, someone else for 18 years, someone else for 9 years. me from the very beginning, although 30 years ago. And there's also some tech people who support me when I need them. And I think it's because we're a team. And I've never been the one who's put myself forward as the best astrologer or whatever. It's how we work together. But if you need to say no at points this month, even if someone's laying on the charm with a trowel, do it. So I think your professional situation can be positive, particularly on that new moon, which occurs on the 15th, but do know when to say no. As far as your financial situation is concerned, with Pluto, beginning this month and ending it in your second solar house, link into Uranus the whole month. If you can use the resources you've got in a more imaginative way, all for the good. But just know that the planet of money, Venus, is challenged by Saturn at the very start of this month. So I just think, to begin with, anyway, it is really, really important, again, to know when to be a bit more thrifty. But I think you could be tempted, particularly on that quarter moon, to be a bit more extravagant, and maybe to do with buying things for your home. As far as relationships concerned, well, I've got to be really honest. I think this month does hold some real sparkle. But what about if you enter into this month in a miserable relationship where the other person doesn't do their bit domestically, isn't very acknowledging, and is not as respectful as they could be, particularly with Saturn in that square with Venus? If I'm talking about how amazing it's going to be for relationships, that's a little bit insulting. What I would say is we get different relationship scenarios. And remember, I've just said the seventh house is about where we need to push back. And if you recall, at the very beginning of the month, Mars is in that quincunx with the moon, urging you to speak up where you feel overwhelmed. But if things are on a better footing for you, it can be a month where you and your partner can really celebrate the things you have in common. And if you're footloose and fancy free, I think some exciting things are heading your way, not least with Jupiter moving on the very last day into that steaming eighth house for the next 13 months. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Capricorn. All the best for June. I look forward to seeing you again soon.